I am California of the past.
I
I
am
am California
California
of the
of the
past.
past.
I am
I
I
am
am
California of the
California
California
of the
of the
past.
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 From desperation to restoration. I was the first generation of gang members in my family. When I was about 13 or 14, it was a time when gangs began to emerge in San Jose. I'm the second oldest. I have four brothers and two sisters. We are all like a year apart. I had two loving parents. We were raised very traditional, very religious. I had a hardworking father and a mother that was home to take care of the familia. In 1977, a family from East LA moved into our neighborhood, and we had a lot in common. My brothers took an attraction to their cholo lifestyle. These vatos had short hair, wore khakis and Pendletons, and carried themselves with prestige and charisma. They were already seasoned in the gang. My brothers got jumped into the gang and claimed the barrio. Claiming this barrio gave us a sense of pride and dignity and a sense of belonging. After being involved in the gang from the time I was 14, I had a real awakening on New Year's Eve in 1979 when I was 17. I was at a party in the barrio and I happened to meet this vato from another barrio. I had no idea that the homeboys didn't approve of him. So I was talking to him and then all of a sudden they jumped him. I got hit really hard on the right side and lost conscience. The guy I had been talking to was stabbed 12 times. I had been stabbed in the chest, puncturing my lung. And that was a turning point in my life. Waking up in the ICU and seeing my parents at my bedside, they knew we were involved in the gang, but they didn't know how serious the lifestyle was. I was so angry. I didn't want anything to do with these people. Since we were a tight family, my brothers also severed their relationship with the gang. Quickly, the gang began to retaliate against my family. We had to form a gang of our own to protect ourselves. For the next 2 years, we lived in a war zone of gang retaliation, and at one point, members of the gang they came to my home and they shot my father. My father lived, thank God. He lived with the bullet in his chest until the day he died almost 3 years ago. He took that bullet for us. I mean, he was an innocent bystander. He had nothing to do with any of this. But the gang didn't care. They don't discriminate. You would think that after I got stabbed that my life would get better, that I would start to make some changes. Unfortunately, the drugs and alcohol took control of my life. Despite everything that had happened, I graduated from high school. With the help of a Chicana leader, I got into San Jose State, but I wasn't prepared for college. I think the desire to better myself was there, but being addicted to drugs and alcohol, I had no clear vision or purpose in life. I hid my drug use from people pretty well, and people didn't know I was addicted, even though I was still using. I went to work at a treatment program as a youth counselor. One day, a girl I was counseling confronted me about my drug use. I was so ashamed, and that's when I started to cry out to God. What's going on with my life? I'm trying to do this, trying to do that. Nothing seems to work. I can't quit using drugs. And so I began a spiritual search within myself. One day I just felt a really strong call. It was a spiritual awakening. I felt like I was making this connection with God. And so I said, okay, if you're calling me, if you want my life, hey, I surrender. The only thing I knew was to go to church. So I went to a church that night and I surrendered my life over to Jesus Christ. It changed everything. My brothers got saved. The violence stopped. I had to stop associating with all my homies that partied. I wanted to live a new life. I was only 19 years old and I had to relearn everything. When you're addicted and gangbanging, you lose your morals, your values, and your self respect. You lose your faith and you lose your identity. It's such a degrading lifestyle. It's all a facade on the outside, but inside you're deteriorating in all aspects of your life. I'm so grateful to my Lord for dying for me on the cross so that I can have eternal life. He heard my cry and delivered me from the pit of despair. He saw in me what I could not see in myself. Today I work as a substance abuse counselor, helping others find faith, hope, and healing. I also have two very talented children, Isaac and Lenora Rostigui, who make me proud every day. Because I broke the cycle of gang violence, they are able to live a better life.